Hey sis, each month inside Entrusted Women University, we feature a brand new interview. You can watch the full interview only in Entrusted Women University, but you can check out this snippet right now.
It was hard to find a place for a long time coming, and just like in the beginning, like I guess I didn't know where to go with it. I was in those days, I was sending the whole book out to just anybody. I was sending it out because you could send it. It was at the time 144,000 words. Like it was a lot. It was big, and I was sending it out to whoever had a contact. And so I would send that to somebody in New York or like a local publisher, or just because I wasn't even trying to find an agent at the time. Like I was just sending it. I think I sent it to Oprah too. Like back when she had a show, I tried to send it to everybody. I know you're covering your face. I know. So, but
That can use Oprah. That can use Oprah. Hello, Entrusted Women. I am so excited to have a new author friend because I love getting author friends. Robin Pearson. Robin, how are you?
I am wonderful, wonderful. Running late as always, but wonderful.
Oh, girl, you're welcome here. Honey, if you're running late and you out there in cyberspace, if you're running late, you are welcome here because I know about that. Y'all, Robin has 7 kids. Okay, so
Yeah.
she has permission to be late, be running late, and to even, I mean, you're running late to be on a interview
Yes,
with seven
yes.
kids.
I
So
just
the grace abounds for you.
abound and abounds for the two wheels I turned into the house just a few minutes ago. I apologize to my neighbor for tailgating you.
Oh no, there's look, there is no judgment for you at all. What you have been able to do while homeschooling 7 kids is quite
Mhm.
remarkable. It is evidence that Jesus is still in the miracle working
Yes,
business.
nothing but
And
the
we're gonna
grace.
get into it, y'all. We're getting into all these things. So if you are new to Robin, I'm about to read her bio and then we're gonna dive into some questions. So Robin W. Pearson, what does the W stand for?
This is nothing but the Lord, because the W usually gets left off, and I'm such a people pleaser worrier that I'm like, how do I tell somebody the W? Because it means a lot to me. And then I don't want to sound
Okay.
prideful. So the fact that you have made a point and then asking me is just God saying, Robin, here's the door open for you. But it's for my maiden name. It's for my dad, my family, Williams. And it was important for me to hold on to that, even as I took on my husband's name, and, that I'm a Pearson through and through. But that W just stands for, my family, my history, my love, for my dad. I want to always honor that. It's the stories I write about. I'm always writing about family and our history. So I want to make sure that that is, there. And also, if you Google Robin Pearson, you might find like this white woman who's an actress who's also wonderful, but it's not me. So if you could just keep that the W, that would be wonderful. So yeah. Thank you for
I am
asking.
so glad I asked that. Does nobody ever ask you?
No, and usually it kinda gets left off, and then I have to worry about, should I say something, not say something? But it is important to me. So, thanks for
But look
asking.
at
That was
God.
the Lord just
Look,
nudging you, so thank you.
look at God. You're so welcome. Okay, so now I'm gonna read her bio. And
Yes.
I love you bringing your father along into your new journey as a wife. I love that.
Yeah.
So Robin W. Pearson's writing sprouts from her Southern upbringing, her belief in Jesus Christ, and her love of her husband, 7 children, and their dog Oscar.
Mm.
Her novels are rooted in the soul of the story and include her Christie Award winning debut, A Long Time Coming, as well as Till I Want No More, Walking in Tall Weeds, and her latest, Dysfunction Junction, y'all. Robin has corrected grammar up and down the East Coast in her career as an author and editor, and in her calling as a homeschooling mama and many. Of many, of many. She loves to share about her faith and her family through her fiction, her blog, Mommy Concentrated, and at conferences such as Breathe Fiction Readers Summit and Vision Christian Writers, and with her friends and followers at Robin W. Pearson. So make sure you follow her. These people and experiences are the source of all the characters living and breathing in the stories, waiting to be told about her belief in Jesus Christ and the experiences at her own kitchen sink. And you can learn more about her at robinwpearson.com. I'll make sure that her website is in the description section wherever this video is shared. Okay, woo child. We got it out. Robin, I really want to know, how did you get started in writing? Were you an English major? Did you stumble across it? Did somebody discover you on your blog? Tell us all the things.
Well, I was an English major, and I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with it. If I would just be saying, you want fries with that, or like what I would be doing, in my life. I knew I wanted, get married and children. Met my husband our freshman year of college, and then he was after he got his first job, and really he's been working with the same company all his life, but he was placed in Boston. And so we moved there about a year after college. And I got a job with a publishing company, Houghton Mifflin, and I started work there, and just, found my love of editing. And worked, it was a school publisher. So I did math and social studies, did writing. And then we moved from there to Florida, and I was pregnant with my first child, and the Lord opened the door because he knew I wanted to be at home with my children. And I started working on Houghton Mifflin's, because like websites and all that stuff was new at the time. So I started working for them for, virtually, basically, writing for their website as they developed that. And I got a call out of the blue from a sorority sister who was in California. I'm an AK. She was looking through the AK directory, saw my work history, and asked me to write for a family magazine that was based in California at the time. So I started writing then. So that's kind of where I got my start with writing. And I thought I would always write parenting journals about, because I loved family, loved children, and I thought that's what I would do. But the Lord laid this story on my heart about Granny B, and it just, from there started writing fiction.
Wow. Okay, so since you were already connected to the publisher, was it an easy on ramp for you to, I guess, get an agent, or did you not have an? Okay, your facial
No.
expression is answering the question for you.
No. Yeah, I thought it would. Like because it's a totally different type of publishing with school publishing. And I would, was working with writers, and I thought, okay, this would give me, some kind of inroads. But when I wrote this story, I didn't know anything about Christian fiction. And in
Yeah.
fact, Grady B, like she wasn't even a believer. Like she, her faith grew and my faith grew over the time it took for me to learn about
Mm.
the industry. It was like over a 20-year journey from the time that I started writing the book, and I finished writing it within a couple of years, what I thought was finishing it. We moved several more times,
Had
and
7
I
more
thought,
babies.
yes, had yes, lots more children. Homeschooling, hadn't planned to homeschool. I had to go through a lot of different things before the Lord was like, you're ready. But it was over 20 years between the time of, writing the book and getting it published. He opened the door for, I found an agent, Cynthia Rutti. And, then she led me to Tyndale. But yeah, like we'd moved, I don't know how many times before this book was published. We were living in Florida when I started writing it, moved to North Carolina, moved to New Jersey, moved back to North Carolina, and then, found a publishing home. So it was quite the journey, and a lot of giving up, because I thought, okay, the Lord had said no to this. But then, a good friend once asked me, did you think you really, had written like a 400-page book of secrets? I was like, I guess not. He opened the door for me to do it. But, when I look back, I can see that if I'd gotten published sooner, that might have, I might not have had as many children, or, it would have just made everything different. So,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
it's hard to see that when you're in it and you're feeling disappointed and you're feeling like you haven't heard from God, or, or the no, all you can hear is no. It's hard. But when you can look back
Mhm.
on it and you see his hand working, it confirms, going forward, just different things. So it's a
Yeah,
journey.
it's rejection. It's
Yes.
rejection.
Yes, it
Rejection
is.
is not a cakewalk.
It is not. It is not. Because
Yeah.
you start thinking I'm not good enough. There's not a place for me. Um, you tell yourself a lot of stories, bigger stories than the one you're writing. You know what I mean? And so, um, it's an interesting industry, trying to find your place. Because even once you think, okay, now I'm here, there is no here except for heaven. You know what I mean? Like there's just
Mhm.
it's still a constant like working of just trying to carve out your place and looking to Jesus,
Mhm.
looking to Jesus.
Mhm. And you're
You know?
brown. You are
Yes.
brown.
Yeah.
Okay. So I really want to get into that where you said there's no place for me because your writing is oozing in dialect and language and southern statements or things that we say. I mean, it's oozing. It's oozing in that. And entering a very Christian, I mean, signing with a very Christian publisher, a very majority white,
Mhm.
audience. I'm just imagining that was pioneering in a sense. You tell me if I'm wrong, because I did nonfiction,
Mhm.
so it doesn't deal with language so much,
Mhm.
um, or dialogue. But I mean, was it hard with the book that you were pitching? Was it hard for publishers to sign on and say, yes, we think we can sell this book? Or maybe not, maybe not, but I'd be interested to hear what you.
Yeah. It
And this
was
question was not one I gave to you either. I'm sorry, I forgot to say I sometimes shoot from the hip. Bang, bang, bang. You could just say I don't want to answer that, and I'll be okay.
as long as you don't bring out like my long lost brother or something. No, I don't have a brother.
Okay.
I'm just joking.
I'm glad you got a sense of humor. Okay.
No, it was hard to find a place for a long time coming, and just like in the beginning, like I guess I didn't know where to go with it. I was in those days, I was sending the whole book out to just anybody. I was sending it out because you could send it. Like it was at the time 144,000 words. Like it was a lot. It was big. And I was sending it out to whoever had a contact. And so I would send that to somebody in New York or like a local publisher, or just because I wasn't even trying to find an agent at the time. Like I was just sending it. I think I sent it to Oprah too. Like back when she had a show. I tried to send it to everybody. I know you're covering your face. I know. I know. So, but
God can use
eventually,
Oprah. God can use Oprah.
I know. I mean,
Amen.
I was sending it.
Amen.
My neighbors read it. My husband's admin. I sent it to my dad. I gave it to him for Father's Day. I just wanted to please him. Like I was just sending it, and then we moved, and I thought, okay, we get to New Jersey. I'll be closer to New York. I'll be able to, I'll find an agent, surely, or something. Then, but God was working on me. He was working on my heart. A good friend of mine, she showed me Francine Rivers, I think Mark of the Lion series. I'd never read Christian fiction or didn't know what it was called. Like I'd read books, but didn't realize Christian fiction. You know what I mean? And so I read it and I thought, I want my book to have a message, like to point people to Christ, not just be about this character who
Mm,
learned something,
yeah.
but to learn something about the Lord and about herself and her relationship with the Lord.
But
And
at that point,
so
hold on. At that point, Robin, the 144,000 words, it was not. Are you saying it was not about Christ or pointing
it
people to
was
Christ?
it was about her coming to faith, but not about, like in the beginning, my character. she didn't know, like she was just this kind of grouchy, older lady who had this, kind of worldly wisdom. And she still is a grouchy lady. When don't be surprised when you open the book. But it was about her growing in faith and growing in her relationship with the Lord, not coming to know the Lord. And I think a lot of us get confused with that. We think, oh, we've been raised in a Christian home. Oh, we know God, we're saved, but you don't have a relationship
Come
with
through now. Come through, Robin.
so
Come through.
that's what, for her, that's something she had to learn, something I had to learn. But also, with your question with the industry and sending things out, even, okay, editing the book, changing the title, I couldn't find my place because either I felt like, okay, there wasn't a place for Black, characters, or either the book was too Christian, the book wasn't Christian enough. Like it couldn't seem to find its home. People didn't know. You would just get silence. I don't know if when you query with, I don't know how it works, I guess, with nonfiction, but when you send out that query letter, just a little brief blurb about your book and just hear silence, or entering contests and they're saying, oh, I don't understand what this, what these Southern words mean, or, it was just not, I
Do
couldn't
people really
find.
talk like this? I've never heard
Oh,
anybody talk
yes,
like that.
yes. Because there's a point in the book where it says, well, Granny B is like, I bet you better. And what that means. You better not. Like, that's what that means. But then people will comment, what does that mean? You know what I mean? Like, so it's like, if
Yeah.
I change who I am, I can't change who I am, because these characters, they're about my people. They're about my grandmothers. They're about my dad. They're about my family. So to change all that would mean changing who I am. So, but, God led me to Cynthia, and then she led me to, to Tyndall. And at the time, Jan Staub was the acquisitions editor. And she was like, this is like my aunt. Because my point was, these characters are family. It doesn't matter to me. Like, it shouldn't matter to you what color they are. This is what families go through. This is what we go through. We're dealing with sin. We're dealing with bitterness. We're dealing with, hatred of self. We're dealing with hurt. We're dealing with all these issues that believers and non-believers deal with. It is about who we seek for healing. That's the difference. And so I wanted these stories, to help somebody. And, it was just, yeah, it was a journey. It was a journey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Still on the journey.
Ooh, so much in what you are saying, Robin. I keep hearing this phrase that I've never said before in my life, but it's called, the phrase I'm hearing is pioneer pain. Because when you're pioneering through land that is uncultivated, or you're going down a path for other people to follow, there is no model, there is no one who's done it before, there is no one that you could call up and say, hey, what do you do when you experience this? You can feel lonely, you can feel crazy, you can feel isolated. And I feel like that's somewhat what you did. Yes, it does represent all families, because there are some themes that are, synonymous with all families. But, the language is unique to a particular type of family. And so, I mean, I just feel like in many ways you paved the way for some authors to come into this Christian fiction genre. It's out there. I mean, we have Uncle Tom's Cabin, or what's the Roar of Thunder, Hear My Cry. It's out there in secular fiction that is out there. But I don't know. I know and I think I was telling this to Tony Shiloh. I recently interviewed her. But when I went into looked at the Christian fiction, I kept seeing these Amish women and their romance, and I was like, I'm not Amish. I am not Amish. I will never wear a bonnet unless it's character day somewhere. I'm not that. I did not resonate with those stories, right? And it's probably a lot of people who are saying I didn't resonate either, and so they needed. Y'all, Robin got 7 kids, so they needed a story, Till I Want No More, or Dysfunction Junction. They needed to see themselves on the pages of Christian fiction. So that's what I feel. And then we're gonna get out of here, because we ain't even touched, like, I got 11 questions. We're not gonna do all of them. But anyways, I feel like this is important what we're saying, because you know what? I'm saying that for me, I feel that way with some of the stuff I'm doing with Entrusted Women. And I know that just by nature of the fact that's how I feel, I know there are other women that are like, I feel this way too. Or people keep telling me this book won't sell. And hey sis, I hope you enjoyed that interview snippet, and I want you to be sure and check out Entrusted Women University by visiting membership.entrustedwomen.com to see the interviews in their entirety. And join us next week for more content to help you on your writing and speaking journey.